the school where the kids weren't HU-man story. When Ethan Hale arrived at Hollow Creek to start his new teaching job, he thought the worst part would be the isolation. The town was buried deep between forest and thick fog. No phone signal, no running buses, and the only real landmark was an old stone building perched on a hill. Hollow Creek Elementary School. A school so forgotten that even Google Maps showed nothing but a blurred patch. Ethan had been desperate for a fresh start. After a messy divorce and a ruined career back in the city, a small-town teaching position felt like salvation. The principal had hired him over a single phone call, his voice oddly eager, almost relieved. "Mr. Hale, we've been waiting for someone like you," Principal Warren had said. "Please, come as soon as possible." Ethan didn't know then that the desperation wasn't about his qualifications. It was about time. Chapter 1, The Students. On his first day, Ethan walked into the classroom and froze. All 21 children sat perfectly still, back straight, hands folded, eyes forward. No whispering, no fidgeting, not a single movement, just silence. They all stared at him at the exact same moment, as if wired to respond in unison. Their eyes were the first thing he noticed. They were too pale, almost silver when the light hit them. Not albino, just reflective, unsettling. "Good morning," Ethan said. At once, the children spoke together, every voice synchronized. "Good morning, Mr. Hale." A chill crawled up his spine. He tried a polite laugh. "You kids rehearse that?" No answer, just the same unblinking stares. Throughout the lesson, he noticed things, small things, but enough to stir a pit in his stomach. Not a single child raised their hand. They wrote at identical speed, their pencils scraping in perfect rhythm. Their expressions never changed. And every time he turned his back, he felt their eyes drilling into him. During break, he watched them through the window. They didn't play. They didn't talk. They just stood in small groups, perfectly still, facing each other but saying nothing. Then one of them, a girl with braided hair, turned her head in a slow, unnatural motion and smiled directly at him, even though he was behind a tinted window. Ethan stumbled back. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Chapter 2, The Warning. After class, Principal Warren stopped him in the hallway. "How was your first day?" Ethan hesitated. The children, they're very quiet. Warren's smile tightened. "They're disciplined." "That's not discipline," Ethan said. "That's—" The lights above them flickered. Warren's expression changed instantly. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Do not say anything more. Not here." Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" The principal's hand trembled as he adjusted his glasses. "Listen to me carefully. You must follow every rule given to you. Do not ask the children personal questions. Do not touch them. Do not stay after dark. And whatever you do—" He leaned closer. "Never open classroom 7. Ethan blinked. "Why?" The principal swallowed hard. "Because it isn't a classroom." The lights flickered again, this time longer. All down the hallway, doors creaked open. Ethan twisted around. The children were standing there. Just standing, staring, heads tilted. Principal Warren forced a smile onto his shaking face. "Have a safe evening, Mr. Hale." He practically shoved Ethan outside. Chapter 3, Classroom 7. Ethan tried to shake it off. Maybe the town was just bizarre. Maybe the kids were sheltered. Maybe the principal was paranoid. But that night, lying in his small teacher's dorm, he couldn't sleep because from the hallway outside, he heard footsteps. Small ones. Dozens. Moving in perfect rhythm. At 3:11 a.m., everything went silent. And then, a soft whisper through the vents. "Classroom 7. Ethan sat up, heart pounding. That did it. He needed to know. He grabbed his flashlight and crept down the silent hallway. The doors were all closed except for one, the principal's office. Papers were scattered everywhere. The window was shattered, and Warren was gone. So Ethan walked toward the end of the hallway, where a single metal door sat with rusted 7 nailed to it. He pressed his ear to the door. Silence. He pushed it open, and the smell hit him first. Chemicals, blood, something metallic. It wasn't classroom at all. It was an old laboratory. Glass tanks, broken monitors, and medical charts lined the walls. In the center of the room was a thick metal hatch in the floor, glowing faintly. He approached it slowly. Scratches covered the metal, deep ones, and something inside was moving. Then a voice behind him whispered, "Mr. Hale." He spun. A girl from his class stood in the doorway, face blank. "You weren't supposed to come here." More children appeared behind her. One by one, filling the hallway. Ethan backed away. "What are you?" Their heads tilted, each one at the same unnatural angle. "We're the next generation," the girl said softly. "We're what the town built, what they feared, what they tried to bury." The metal hatch behind Ethan began to rattle. The children stepped forward. "You are here to help us evolve." Chapter 4, what lived below. The hatch burst open. A long, pale limb shot out, thin as bone, covered in pulsing veins. Then another, and another. Something massive crawled up, dragging itself into the room. It wasn't human, but it wasn't exactly alien either. It was something unfinished, and the children were staring at it like a parent returning home. Ethan ran, down the hall, out the door, across the field. The fog was thick, the dark swallowing everything. Behind him, he heard the synchronized footsteps of the children and the heavier thuds of the creature coming from classroom 7. He didn't stop running until he reached the woods. There, he found Principal Warren huddled against a tree, bleeding. "They're not children," Warren gasped. "They're experiments, genetic prototypes, failed attempts. The town created them underground, decades ago, but they weren't supposed to survive." Ethan knelt. Then why put them in a school? They broke free. They mimic. They adapt. And now, Warren grabbed his collar. They want something new, something human to merge with. That's why they hired you. The woods grew silent. Every sound disappeared. And then, voices, 21 voices, speaking in perfect unison. "Mr. Hale, come back to class." Chapter 5, The Terrible Choice. Ethan carried Warren to the woods, but the fog thickened until he couldn't see his own hands. Shapes moved around them, small silhouettes, pale eyes glowing softly. The children were circling them. He heard the creature, too, its limbs dragging across leaves, breathing like a broken machine. Warren coughed, blood dripping down his shirt. "Run," he whispered. "Don't look back." But Ethan didn't run. He made a different choice. He reached into Warren's coat pocket and found a metal key card labeled Sublevel 0, Purge System. "Does this work?" Ethan asked. Warren nodded weakly. "If you reach the control room." "But you won't." Ethan inhaled sharply. "I have to try." He ran back toward the school, back toward the monster, back toward the children. They watched him calmly, their heads turning in sync as he sprinted toward the old building. He burst into the lab, dove down the hatch, and climbed into the darkness below. The tunnels were filled with broken machines, abandoned experiments, and failed life forms sealed in glass. At the far end, a glowing terminal blinked. "Purge protocol confirmed." The footsteps approached from behind. The children had followed him. "Mr. Hale," they said in unison, voices echoing off the walls. "You don't have to do this." The creature crawled down into the tunnel after them, huge and contorted, its limbs scraping the walls. Ethan pressed a button. Confirmed. A siren screamed through the tunnels. Red lights blasted. The children's expressions, normally blank, finally changed. They looked afraid. The creature roared. The tunnel shook. And Ethan screamed as everything exploded into white light. Epilogue, the new school year. 2 months later, the government denied everything. The town of Hollow Creek was abandoned, fenced off, declared environmentally unstable. Ethan's body was never found. But one morning, a survey drone captured footage of something disturbing. The old school building still stood, and in all the windows, small pale silhouettes, stood perfectly still, waiting for the next teacher. They survived. That was the first thought Dr. Mara Ellison had when the report arrived at her desk in the capital city. She was a special investigator for cases the government pretended did not exist. Cases buried under classified stamps and sealed corridors. Drone surveillance over Hollow Creek showed pale silhouettes in every window of the abandoned school. Impossible silhouettes. The children should have died in the purge. And yet, they were standing, waiting. Dr. Ellison didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in mistakes. And Hollow Creek was the biggest mistake the government ever made. She closed the file, grabbed her coat, and drove toward the forgotten town. Chapter 1. Return to the ruins. The road into Hollow Creek was cracked and overgrown, like nature itself wanted to bury the memory. Fog swarmed the ground like living smoke. The school loomed ahead, half burned, half standing, completely wrong. Dr. Ellison stepped into the ruins, scanning with her thermal device. No heat signatures in the halls. Yet the cameras showed the children. Something wasn't adding up. Her foot brushed paper on the floor. A journal, half burned, with a name scratched into the cover. Ethan Hale. She read the last entry. If someone finds this, the purge won't hold them. They don't die. They reset. They learn. She swallowed hard. Mr. Hale. A soft voice whispered behind her. Dr. Ellison spun around, gun raised. A small girl stood there. Braided hair. Pale eyes. The same girl Ethan had seen. But her voice was wrong. Deeper. Older. like it held multiple echoes inside. "We hoped you'd come sooner," the girl said. Dr. Ellison stepped back. "You're not real." The girl smiled. "We are real, just not the way you understand." More children appeared behind her. Dozens, not just Ethan's class. Some limping, some crawling, some fused with metallic wiring. Generations of failed prototypes now awake and watching. Chapter 2, The Truth Beneath. Dr. Ellison kept her gun aimed, but the girl didn't flinch. "You made us," the girl said. "You gave us life, and then you tried to erase us." "I didn't create you," Ellison said quietly. "No," the girl said, "but your organization did. You carry their sins." The walls groaned, dust falling. The children backed away. Something bigger moved through the shadows. Huge, misshapen. The creature Ethan died fighting. It stepped forward, dragging itself on elongated limbs. One of its eyes was gone. Its torso burned. But it lived. "You can't stop it," the girl whispered. "We can't stop it either." The monster lunged. Dr. Ellison fired, again and again, but the bullets sank into its flesh like mud. She ran, diving into a hallway as the creature smashed through the wall behind her. Then she saw it. A metal door labeled Sublevel 1. The purge hadn't reached this floor. There was more beneath. She rushed inside and froze. Rows of pods lined the walls, hundreds of them, each holding a child suspended in green fluid. Children with pale eyes. Children waiting. Children not yet awake. Her stomach twisted. "This is an ark," she whispered. "A backup system." Footsteps echoed behind her. The girl stood in the doorway. "We don't want to hurt you," the girl said. "But we can't live here anymore. We need to grow, evolve, leave." "These pods," Ellison breathed. "You plan to activate them?" The girl nodded. "Help us, and we won't destroy what's left of your world." Ellison's blood ran cold. "And if I refuse?" The girl's smile faded. "Then we will wake alone." Behind them, the creature roared again. Time was running out. Chapter 3, Ethan's Last Message. Dr. Ellison backed away, but her hand brushed a metal console. It flickered with a recording labeled, "Hale, 01/final attempt." Her heart dropped. Ethan Hale had been recording moments before the purge. She played it. Ethan appeared on the small screen, dirty, bleeding, exhausted. "If anyone finds this, the children aren't the monsters. Not really. They were made into weapons, but they're still learning right from wrong. It's the thing below them, the first prototype. That's unstable. It controls them when it wants. It speaks in their minds." A crash sounded behind Ethan. He whispered urgently, "Save them, or the world will face more than just this school." The recording ended. The girl watched quietly, head lowered. "He protected us," she said softly. "He saw us." The creature bellowed again, closer now, shaking dust from the ceiling. Ellison made her decision. Chapter 4, The Final Choice. Dr. Ellison sprinted past the girl and reached the main control panel. A screen flashed. Pod systems. Offline. Manual override required. There were 2 options. 1. Activate all pods. 2. Terminate all prototypes. She hesitated. Activating the pods meant unleashing thousands of enhanced children into the world, being stronger and smarter than humans. Terminating them meant killing what was left of Ethan's students, children who didn't choose their creation. The creature shrieked behind her, forcing her choice. Dr. Ellison slammed the switch. Option 2, terminate. A deafening siren blared. The pods glowed red. The children in the hallway screamed, not in fear, but in rage. "You choose extinction," the girl said, her voice no longer human. "For us and for yourself." The creature barreled into the room. Ellison dove and rolled, firing a support beam. The ceiling collapsed, crushing half the room, including the monster. The lights flickered. The pods drained one by one as the prototypes inside went still. The girl watched as her kind died. She looked at Dr. Ellison with something like sorrow. "You killed us." Ellison stepped forward. "I saved the world." The girl shook her head. You don't understand, we weren't the danger. The building began to collapse. The girl whispered one last thing before the rubble buried her. The real experiment is still out there. Epilogue, 2 months later. Dr. Ellison sat alone in her apartment, staring at Ethan's journal and the footage from the school. The government sealed the town permanently. Everyone believed the horror was over until the new report arrived. A drone found footprints near the ruins. Small footprints, child-sized, dozens of them, and beside them, one set of monstrous, elongated tracks. The thing from Sublevel 7, the original prototype, had escaped. A message pinged on Dr. Ellison's phone from an unknown number. Class begins again. Dr. Ellison's blood ran cold. Somewhere out there, they were rebuilding, and the world had no idea what was coming.